What is up, what is up, what is up, everyone? Before we get started with our show on tonight, we want you to know that our shows for this week are sponsored by Dr. Ebony Wallace of Ebony Solutions. That's right, we thank her for sponsoring us. We'd ask that you go listen to our podcast, and we'd ask that you go buy her books, which you can get both of those things from the description up above. Shout out to her, we appreciate her, and we thank her for all of the love and all of the support that she gives us. God bless you, and have a continued to smile upon you. And now it's time to get into the show.
Every episode, every song, every word we say. The prosperity blueprint. The prosperity blueprint. The prosperity blueprint. The prosperity blueprint.
Let me ask you a question. Have you ever created something you knew was good? You spent weeks working on it. You prayed about it. You designed the graphics. You launched, you built the website. You announced it on social media, and then you waited. You waited for the registrations. You waited for the people to show up. You waited for the applause. You waited for the orders. You waited for the notifications. But instead of hearing the sound of sales coming in, you heard silence. So you started questioning everything that you had already done. Maybe the offer isn't good enough. Maybe I need to reframe it. Maybe nobody wants what I created. Maybe I'm not solving a problem. But what if the problem is not your product? What if the problem is your launch? Many entrepreneurs do not actually launch their offers. They announce them. They post it on social media. They do all the things that I just talked about in the opening statement. A post is not a launch. A flyer is not a launch. A website is not a launch. A launch is a planned series of events or actions that prepares people to understand the problem, trust the solution, and to make a decision on if it's you that they want to work with or not. Is it you that they want to get this service from? A launch is planned out and executed. In today's series, we're going to talk about how to stop building the plane while you're flying it. Welcome back to the Prosperity Blueprint. I'm Dr. Rasheda Jackson, your business midwife. And throughout this season, we have been walking through the 10 steps to building a business that works, because I want you to understand that you are more than a side hustle. So in episode 1, we clarified our vision. Episode 2, we discussed choosing the right business structure. Episode 3, we built the financial foundation. And then in 4, we discussed and developed the brand. In 5, we introduced the systems that create consistency. In episode 6, we created offers that communicate transformation. And in 7, we discussed marketing, messaging, and visibility. So here, now that you have this offer, in episode 8, now we're going to talk about how people know that you exist. And now that they know, it's time to bring that offer into the marketplace. That is what a launch does. A launch takes the vision that has been in your head, the offer that you have structured out, spent time creating and developed, and the message you've been sharing, and it brings it all together in an intentional campaign. That's how you launch. Now, let's talk about what a launch really is. Let's just break it down precept by precept. A launch is not simply the date the product becomes available. A launch is the entire process: preparing, positioning, presenting, selling, and delivering an offer. You can launch a physical product, a book, a coaching program, a course, a membership, a professional service, a community, a nonprofit initiative, an event, a new location, a new brand. All of these things you can offer. The type of offer may change, but the strategic principle can remain the same throughout the process of building a business, because you may start with a product and then move into a book or a coaching program. All of these individual pieces can be launched at different times and in different settings. You have the responsibility of first knowing your offer. You must know who it is for. You must know what problem it solves. You must know and share how much it costs. You must know how it will be delivered to the customers, and you must know what problem that it solves. You must also know how people will hear about it. Will you just trust word of mouth, or are you going to create a campaign that creates the touch points that you need so people can make an educated decision? You must also know what you want to accomplish in the launch. Remember, it's a series of events. It's a campaign. You are experimenting publicly. You're looking to find out what works and what doesn't. A launch should be an execution of decisions that you've made beforehand, and not a season of making every decision in real time. This is an executed plan that is going to speak to your avatar, your customer, and is going to launch your offer. You are going to look at every detail of what it is that you are putting out in the marketplace, and you're going to plan how you're going to communicate the value of that offer and what you are going to do to deliver it. There's a difference between an idea, an offer, and a launch. The idea is something you believe that could help people, right? An offer is a specific way that purchasing with you or working with you can help people or serve your customers. A launch is a strategy used to bring the offer into the marketplace. For example, I want to help people start businesses. That's an idea, right? That's my idea. The second one is, now, how am I going to answer the problem that we have? And that is creating a 10-week program that helps first time entrepreneurs legally structure, brand their product, market, and launch their businesses. This is an offer. And a 30-day campaign that educates the audience on what I'm offering, opens up registration, answers objections, and closes enrollment is a launch. That's how you get it done. Many entrepreneurs just attempt to launch while the offer is still only an idea. But you have to have the pieces in place, because you want to give people actionable steps to work with you or to purchase your service or your product. Many entrepreneurs don't have an established curriculum. They have not established a price, the delivery method, a refund policy. Yeah, because that's going to happen too. And they don't have who the established offer is for. And we say it all the time in business. We talk about it. We encourage you guys to understand that you have to decide who your messaging is for, because if you're talking to everybody, you're talking to nobody. Before you launch, turn the idea into a complete offer. Make sure that you have answered the questions that I put before you. Who is this for? What problem does it solve? How are you going to deliver it? What is the price of it? And how will you execute to ensure that people know that it exists? Let's talk about why launches fail. You could have an amazing offer. You could have an amazing product. You could have something that you believe everybody needs. But a good offer can still experience a disappointing launch. Reason number one is the offer is not clear. People don't understand clearly what it is that you are doing or offering, who it is for, and what results it will provide, so they hesitate. Confusion slows down decisions. We say it all the time that clarity creates confidence, where a confused mind will do absolutely nothing. Here are the questions that you must ask. Can I explain this offer in one sentence? Is the desired outcome clear? Does the audience understand what they are getting, what is included? And does the audience understand what happens after purchasing? Do they understand what commitment is going to take from them in order to ensure that what you are giving them is delivered effectively? The second reason that launches don't always succeed, sometimes they're lackluster or they fail, is because the audience was not prepared. You have to prime the audience. You have to set them up. You have to Pump them up. You can't remain silent for 6 months, then suddenly post a flyer and expect people to immediately purchase. It doesn't happen like that. Science tells us that it takes people 7 touch points, 7 times 7 points of visibility before they actually make a decision. People need time to understand the actual problem that you are going to solve. They need time to understand your approach. They need time to determine whether they trust you or not. Remember that people buy from you because they trust you. The launch literally begins before the sales page ever opens. You want to create um urgency. You want to create intention around what you're doing. You want to open up a waiting list. You want to invite people to a community so that they can get prepared for what it is you're going to put in front of them as the offer. Do not introduce yourself, your solution, and your price in the same conversation and expect immediate trust. What you need to do is campaign, lay it out, introduce yourself, then introduce your solution, then introduce your price on a discovery call in a private conversation. Because if people really want to work with you, you have two options. You can offer them a lower tier option to come in and work with you in a group setting, or you can offer that in a private discovery call. People will come and show up at a webinar simply because they want to know the price. So that's a good place to give a low offer and then offer them the opportunity for a discover call. That's really what the process is and what you should do. That's how I learned to make an offer. The next reason that launches are lackluster or they fail is because the entrepreneur is speaking about what the product does, the features of it, instead of the expected result. 6 modules, 10 videos, 4 calls, a workbook, a private group. Those are just features. The customer is asking, what will this help me to accomplish? What will become clearer in my position as a business owner? What problem will no longer control me? What solution are you bringing to my life? Features explain what is included. Transformation explains why it matters. Number 4, the reason that launches don't succeed is because you don't have a numerical goal. Attract number grows. Many entrepreneurs say that they want a successful launch, but they've never defined what success looks like. What does a successful launch look like? What is the conversion rate? How many people do you expect to get in a room so that you can launch effectively? How much revenue do you really want to generate in that launch? How many customers do you want to properly serve? How many people must see the offer in order for you to have at least a 3% conversion rate? How many conversations do you need to have to get to the right amount of people for conversion? How many units are available? Is there an unlimited amount of your product? You have to know these answers, and you cannot measure a launch against a goal that was never established. So many times you may look, or entrepreneurs may look and say, oh, that launch didn't happen like I wanted it to, when the reality is the goal was stuck in the mind. It was never put down on paper. So therefore they don't understand what they're actually measuring. They just measure it by, my family members didn't show up, or my friends on Facebook and all the people that follow me on social media, they didn't show up, so my launch was a fail. When in actuality, if you had a goal set, you could then measure whether it was a success or a failure based on the goal that you set before you ever put it out into the marketplace. The 5th reason that there is sometimes a lackluster launch, or a launch that's not successful, is because there's no follow-up plan. You have to follow up. I've always been told throughout the process of time, since I was 18 years old, that the money is in the follow-up. And this is something that is preached over and over and over again in the entrepreneurial journey as it relates to multi-level marketing. The money is in the follow-up. Some entrepreneurs post their offer and assume that anyone who is interested will immediately buy, or they will show up in your community, and that's just not the case. People get distracted. I'm one of them. I get distracted very easily. People have questions, people forget, people intend to return and they never do, and that's why you have to keep it in front of them. Follow-up is not harassment when it's respectful, when it's relevant, and when it's helpful. Follow-up means that we're going to have a webinar. We're going to take the people that showed up in the webinar. We're going to email them to remind them that the offer has a limited time. We're creating a sense of urgency so that people make a decision. The fortune is often in the follow-up because clarity is not often created through a conversation. People have more questions, and you should be available to answer them because they're spending their money with you. Number 6, fear changes the strategy is the other reason that sometimes And the number 6 reason that sometimes you don't have the launch that you expect is because fear changes the strategy. The entrepreneur becomes nervous. The price is lowered too early. Bonuses are added without any purpose. You reduce your value. The deadline is extended repeatedly. Whatever you say it with confidence and mean it. The offer cannot change in the middle of the campaign. If it changes in the middle of the campaign, then you are putting fear out there, and people that will buy from you, they experience that, they sense it, and now the message has become inconsistent and they no longer trust you. The launch begins to feel desperate, like, hey, I need you, when in actuality you don't. You just need to wait for your people to show up. When the teacher appears, the students will eventually show up. You put yourself in place, and then everything else will fall in line. You must make certain decisions about your product, about your service, and your offer before emotions ever enter the room. Do not allow temporary silence to make you abandon a sound strategy. You've just got to keep the strategy, and you've got to keep it going. So let's talk about the 6-part launch framework, because I want you to understand the importance of launching. And when you are ready and you've decided that you want to work with me in the in the Vision to Shelf Institute, and you want to go through these 10 steps in a very handheld way, you will get the in-depth information that I'm putting out in front of you. Let's talk about the 6-part launch framework. The L, lay the foundation. Before promoting the offer, make sure the offer can support the attention you're asking to receive. You want to make sure that you do not create demand that your operations cannot support. Your systems need to be in place to receive an influx. Maybe you don't think that there's going to be 1,000 people that joins, and then they join and you're not ready. You should always be ready. Build it and they will come, right? That was the message. Build it and they will come. A successful launch followed by poor delivery can damage the brand you work so hard to build. And that's the part that you do not want to do. Lay the foundation. A, attract and prepare the audience. Before asking people to purchase, begin discussing the problem your offer solves. Put it out there. You want to look at pre-launch content that should help the audience. You want to start giving value before you give a price. You want to help them to recognize the problem and understand the cost of ignoring it. For a business program, let's talk about a sample pre-launch. Some of the topics that you might want to look at. 5 signs your business foundation is incomplete. Why having an LLC doesn't automatically make your business funding ready. Those are just some of the things, just as examples. For a physical product, the problem that the product was created to solve. Maybe it's hyperpigmentation. Maybe you want to have whiter teeth. Maybe you want to travel without worrying about the amount of liquids you have, but still have everything you need. There's so many things, so many visions and options out there. You want to make sure that you're touching on to pre-launch content. Pre-launch content should make the audience problem aware, possibility aware, and solution ready. Let me say that again. Pre-launch content should make the audience problem aware, possibility aware, and solution ready. So that was the L. And the A. The U, understand the numbers. Before the launch begins, know the financial target. Set your goal. Set your goal. Revenue goal divided by the offer price equals the number of sales needed. For example, if your revenue goal is $10,000 and your offer is $497, you need approximately 21 customers to reach your goal. Now, the goal is no longer simply make $10,000. The goal becomes finding and converting 21 qualified customers. Now that is a clear strategy. The additional numbers that you need to establish, I'll give you in the book and in the cohort. Revenue is exciting. It's exciting, but profit is what keeps the business alive. A launch that generates $20,000 but costs $19,000 is not automatically successful. You have to ensure that you've counted up the cost. No man builds without first what? Counting up the cost. And that's the word. And now the N in launch. N, name and communicate the transformation. People must be able to repeat what your offer does. Why? Because word of mouth is the number one way to garner business. And two, because your message should be simple enough that someone else can explain it. You want them to be able to explain to somebody else why they paid you $4,997 for an experience or for the production of the process that they're going to go through, what it is that they're going to accomplish. Why would they pay you that? They need to be able to explain it literally almost in the same amount of time that it takes you to explain it, less than a minute. It must be clear. And the end, name and communicate the transformation. People must be able to repeat what your offer does. Right? So let's talk about the messaging formula in the end. What is your messaging formula? Remember, that was part of your homework. I help blank achieve blank without blank. I help first-time entrepreneurs build legally structured, funding-ready businesses without piecing together conflicting advice from social media. That answers the problem message, the cost message, the possibility, the process, the proof, and the invitation. It literally should cause someone to ask, how can I take the next step? And that's where you want to be. You are not repeating yourself because you lack creativity. You're repeating your message because people need consistency before they make decisions. That's why you will hear me throughout the process of time repeat something that I've said before, because I want you to remember that point. I'm not repeating myself because I lack creativity. I'm repeating myself because the message needs to be consistent. It needs to be remembered so that you can make a decision. The C, you want to create the campaign calendar. It's recommended that you have a 4-week launch timeline. That's what we want to build out. We want to, in week 1, create problem awareness. Teach the audience to recognize what the problem is. Help people to say, woo, she talking to me, or he's talking to me. This is describing me. Number 2, you want to work with the possibility and the authority. You want to show the audience that change is possible and demonstrate why your method is credible. Help people to say, this person understands the problem and may be able to help me to solve it. In week 3, you want to have your invitation and your enrollment. You want to clearly introduce the offer. You want to communicate the offer name, who it is for, the result. You want to help qualified people make an informed decision. And number 4, you want to address the questions that prevent people from moving forward, the objections, the urgency, and the closing. I don't have enough time. I don't know whether this is for me. I've tried something similar before. I've lost my money. I need to speak to my spouse. I can't afford it. I'm afraid I will not complete it. You've got to learn to overcome the objection. Clarity, create clarity, not pressure. Urgency should be connected to a real deadline, limited capacity, production schedule, enrollment period, or a bonus expectation or a bonus expiration. Never manufacture false urgency. People will sniff you out. They will smell it. Let me tell you how many times people get into a room in urgency, they make a purchase, and then they have buyer's regret and they charge back. You don't want that. Trust is more valuable than one temporary sale. You want to offer them options. And the H in launch, handle follow-up and fulfillment. Make sure that you deliver on what you promise. The launch does not end when the payment is received. The launch ends when the promise begins to be fulfilled and you have garnered the trust of your clients and you've delivered what you promised. Make sure that you have customer follow-up, send an immediate confirmation, explain what happens next, introduce the customer to the platform and the process, and then you want to have lead follow-up. For those who did not purchase, ask them, for their interest or their feedback. Ask whether they have questions. Find out why they didn't make a decision. It may help you to fill gaps in your process of launching. After you launch, you want to do a review. You want to do a thorough internal follow-up review with yourself and with your team. You want to review any hiccups, technical problems, performance, document lessons. Every launch should make the next launch better. Every launch should make the next launch better. So that is the LAUNCH. That's the launch. Those are the 6 steps. Now, let's talk about our every week we have a faith and a strategy moment. Let's talk about it. Some people believe that planning demonstrates a lack of faith. They believe that they just have to, God's going to do it, right? But I believe the opposite. I believe that planning is one way we just demonstrate stewardship over what God has given us, which is the vision to create, to build, to start. Proverbs 21:5 says this: the thoughts of the diligent tend only to the plenteous, but of everyone that is hasty only to want. The scripture connects diligence with abundance and haste with lack. A rushed launch may feel exciting to you, but excitement cannot replace preparation. Being led by God does not mean that we're being disorganized. Having faith does not mean that we have fear, doesn't mean that we're ignoring the numbers. Prayer does not eliminate planning. Prayer is necessary and vital over our plans, and the prayers that we pray should guide the plan. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says this: to everything there's a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. There's a time to create, a time to prepare, a time to promote, a time to sell, a time to deliver, and a time to review. Most entrepreneurs experience frustration because they attempt to do all of those things at the same time. They're creating the offer while promoting it. They're pricing the offer while they are selling it. They are building the curriculum while delivering it. They're learning the software while customers are waiting. Customers want their product. They don't want to wait. That's why you have to take the time to build with a strong foundation, ensuring that what you promise you can deliver. There's a time for every purpose under the sun. Honor the season of preparation so you can properly steward the season of opportunity. I believe that we are in the season of opportunity, and that is why I'm here sharing this information with you so openly and for free. If you believe that you're in the season of opportunity, you're just not sure how you're going to get across that finish line, this is the time to click that link. Find out. Come and talk to me. How are you going to get in this cohort that I'm going to do once a year? Use this section. Use this section of your life and of your process to understand how entrepreneurial experiences can change your life. I've worked with entrepreneurs who have had powerful ideas, but no planning. They build the plane while it's flying. And some people find success in that, but eventually it catches up to them and they realize that they have put money in pockets with holes because they literally have not closed all the gaps. They didn't build with the right things or the strongest foundation. So they find themselves replacing parts while the business is still moving. Everything lived in their heads. There was nothing written, when clearly God tells us that we are to write the vision. The vision comes from him. How many of you know that even the blind can have vision, but not all people will have vision? Most people, the majority of us, we can see, but that does not mean that we have vision. God gives the vision, and then he tells us to write it, to make it plain that they that read it can run with it. The problem was never the assignment. The problem was the execution. One of the greatest lessons that I've learned personally as an executive is that it's important that you plan. Outcomes require backward planning. So let me talk to you briefly about the backward launch plan. Choose the date that the customer will receive the product, begin the program, attend the event, and enter the service. Then you work backwards. That is the backward launch program. If the program begins on October 1st, enrollment ends on September 25th, final reminder occurs on September 24th, question and answer sessions, all of these things you want to back them out. If you know, for example, I'm doing a cohort that's going to require planning where other people are involved, where I have to come into their environment, disrupt their business for an entire day in order for them to effectively garner new clients, earn the trust of the customers that are ready to launch their product. And so I have to put those dates in place and back my launch out from there. When you plan backward, every activity has a reason. You're no longer posting randomly. You're no longer just moving around in the social media space without a clear journey, and speaking to an entire audience that may not really be listening. The launch is necessary, and then you want to ensure that you audit its readiness before you jump out there. You want to create a clear plan, and you want to be fully prepared. So, what I want you to do is work on what your launch would look like. If your business was already ready, we were at the end of the cohort, I would want you to work on what your launch would look like. Either start and launch from the beginning, how I showed you, or work it backwards based on when you want to actually deliver the product. Deadlines are great. Deadlines are for all of us. Deadlines are for you. Deadlines are for your clients. When you look at it, this whole process is not to discourage you. It is designed to protect you for where you're going. It is better to identify gaps in your process before the customers experience them. You want to run tests. You want to be sure that you can deliver. People want to have a great experience because then they'll tell somebody else. This week, I want you to create a one-page launch map. The launch map should include the following things: the name of the offer, the problem it solves, the ideal customer, the transformation that you are promising, the price, the revenue goal, the number of sales needed, the launch date, the enrollment or sales deadline, 3 pre-launch content topics, 3 objections to address, the delivery start date, the follow-up plan, the metrics that will be reviewed. Begin by building your strategy, not by designing a flyer. Your graphics should communicate the plan. They should not become the plan. I want to leave you with this in week 8. You do not have to have a fear of launching. You just have to launch. You have to plan to launch. You do not have to panic every time you introduce something new. You do not have to stay awake at night wondering whether everything's going to work out or not, because according to Romans 8:28, all things are working together for your good anyway, because you're called according to God's purpose and you love him. Preparation does not guarantee that every person will buy from you. Preparation does not eliminate every unexpected problem. You can never determine what tech is going to do. You just got to show up. Preparation gives you the foundation from which to respond. Your first launch may not be your largest launch. It may not be your most profitable launch. It may not be your smoothest launch, but it can become the foundation of what teaches you how to improve. You want to follow up with everyone, those that bought and those that didn't. Do not judge the future assignment by how your first launch comes out. Don't worry about the results of this first campaign. Observe this first campaign, audit it, review it, learn from it, adjust, then launch again. You can launch as many times as you want. Stop building the plane while you're flying it. Land the plane, inspect it, strengthen it, paint it, create the flight plan, then take off with confidence. If today's episode was a blessing to you, if it helped you, complete the launch strategy exercise, please, in step 8. Here we are talking about you're more than a side hustle. The book is getting ready to be published. I want you guys to be a part of it. Choose one of your offers, and create your launch calendar. Get prepared. Plan now. Do not attempt to launch every product that you offer, every event, and every program at the same time. Choose one offer, because you can communicate that. Choose one audience because you know who you're talking to. Choose one message because it becomes simple and can be repeated. And then choose one goal. Then build your campaign around that. Share this episode with an entrepreneur who has a great idea but needs a stronger strategy. I'm your strategist, your business midwife. We're here to birth out visions and dreams and to make them be manifest in this life while we're here so that all the world can see. Next week, we're going to be in step 9, and that's going to be your tax strategy and your financial management. How are you going to manage this overflow that's coming to your life? We're going to discuss why making money is not enough. You must know how to manage it, where it needs to go, how to protect it, how to report it, and how to strategically keep more of it. Until next time, remember that you are more than a side hustle. Do not just build a business that works. See you next week.